Have you ever felt like something's off with your body, but all the tests come back normal? Suddenly, you wake up feeling lighter, your reflection in the mirror seems different, and certain people start draining you without explanation? Don't worry. This isn't insanity or some random coincidence. In fact, it might be the beginning of your spiritual awakening, and no one ever told you how it truly shows up. Most people believe that soul awakening is something beautiful, light, full of peace and butterflies floating around. But what almost no one dares to say, is that it starts in the body. That's right. Before the mind accepts it and the heart understands, it's the body that sends the first signals. And if you don't know how to interpret them, you might think you're going crazy. Or worse, that you're getting sick. But the truth is different. Your body is responding to your divine spark waking up, to your expanding consciousness speeding up, and to a direct connection with your higher self. And when this happens, there's no pretending that nothing is changing. Because everything changes. Even your reflection in the mirror. Here's the thing, not everyone will go through this. And those who do, will never be the same again. Get ready to understand what's behind these changes no one talks about. And if this is happening to you, know this, it's a privilege. A calling. A new life knocking at your door. And it starts, now. Some people look in the mirror and feel something has shifted, but can't quite explain what. It wasn't diet, it wasn't the gym. And yet, their face looks lighter, their eyes brighter, their body seems more put together, as if it's found a balance it didn't even know it lost. Those on a real spiritual journey begin to notice how the body responds to the expansion of consciousness before the mind can even comprehend what's happening. And the most curious part? It's like the body knows exactly what to do, all on its own. It recalibrates. It sheds excess. It reorganizes. All without conscious effort. Some people report losing weight without any changes in their habits. A close friend of mine told me she started shedding inches without altering her diet. She was just meditating daily and reconnecting with her divine spark. It's what Neville Goddard would say, it's not the external world that shapes you, but the internal image you project. At this level of spirituality, the body is no longer just a vehicle, it's a mirror. And when you change inside, it reflects that, uninvited. It's involuntary. It's inevitable. It's raw evolution. It's as if, suddenly, the gravity of material things loses its hold. You start eating better, not because you have to, but because you feel repelled by what no longer resonates with your new energetic field. Soda starts to feel like poison. Processed food? Doesn't even smell as good anymore. It's natural. The body, tuned into the higher self, begins to choose more wisely. No food diaries. No personal trainers yelling. It's a refined instinct that rises from within. Your skin tone changes, too. It becomes more radiant, more even. This isn't skincare, it's the expansion of consciousness. Those who have gone through this know, that glow on your face doesn't come from an expensive serum, it comes from vibration. People who barely looked at themselves in the mirror start seeing a new beauty that's not just physical, it's vibrational. And more than that, others notice, too. The world begins to reflect what you've finally started seeing in yourself. Prosperity manifests as harmony, even in your appearance. Another subtle but powerful shift is in your posture. Those who once walked with their shoulders slumped, weighed down by life's burdens, begin to walk with more presence. Shoulders aligned, chest open. It's not ego inflating, it's consciousness awakening. When the soul aligns with the truth, the body obeys. It's as if it knows it can finally relax. That it's safe. That it's found its way back home. And this feeling, it's like the whole body breathes differently. No surprise, clothes start to fit better. Even those old pieces you've had for years. The body doesn't necessarily lose weight, it shifts in shape. The physical structure adapts to the new being that's emerging. It's almost like shedding skin. And those who don't understand it look and say, "Wow, you look different. Did you do something?" But those who live it, they know. It's the abundance of the spirit starting to manifest physically. It's the presence of your higher self showing up in every detail. No surgery. No effort. No filter. And the most amazing part? All of this happens quietly. While some are running after magical formulas, those on a spiritual evolution simply allow. And that changes everything. The body is wise, and when you stop resisting, it shows you that wisdom. But there's something even more mind-blowing than these changes, something that shows up first in the eyes, and almost no one can hide it for long. There's one thing no one can hide: the gaze. When someone is going through a true spiritual awakening, their eyes give them away. They become more alive, more intense. Some say they shine. And it's not an exaggeration. It's as if there's a light behind the pupils, like the soul has moved closer to the surface. Those with energy sensitivity notice this fast. Looking into the eyes of someone in the process of expanding their consciousness is like staring into a mirror reflecting the invisible. And once you see it, there's no unseeing it. It's something that escapes logical explanation. The person might still have the same makeup, the same style, but there's something different in their eyes. They've become deeper, more magnetic. It's as if they carry an ancient story, one that's finally being remembered. A soul memory. It's there that the connection with the higher self is revealed, without words. And the most fascinating part? Only those on the same spiritual journey can clearly notice it. Others might feel something different, but they won't know what it is. One of my students shared something interesting. She had been meditating for months, studying Neville Goddard, reconnecting with her divine spark, and noticed that people started looking at her differently. "You seem more present," they would say. She thought it was her imagination, until an old friend commented, "Your eyes have a different energy." It wasn't lenses, it wasn't lighting, it was the internal transformation reflected right there, in the little details only an attentive heart can notice. Those new eyes also become more sensitive. To light, to emotions, to the gaze of others. It's not uncommon for tears to suddenly appear, without any clear reason. Emotions surface from nowhere. Not because something sad happened, but because the heart is more open, more alive. The emotional body takes center stage, and the eyes become its first voice. Those in evolution inevitably begin to see the world with more empathy, and, at the same time, with more clarity about what no longer resonates with their truth. It's also the opposite. The gaze becomes a natural filter against what's not real. What once enchanted, now feels hollow. Artificial beauty standards, forced smiles, soulless looks, all start to feel strange. It's like the person gains a soul lens. And this lens doesn't accept what's fake anymore. It seeks the authentic. The whole. What aligns with inner abundance, with prosperity born from truth, not appearance. In some cases, the eyes even change color slightly. They become lighter, more translucent, more expressive. I myself went through this. My old photos show a duller look, as if there were a fog. After years of deep spiritual practices, studies, and connection with my higher self, my gaze became more steady. It's not arrogance, it's presence. And those who live and understand, there's no going back. When the soul awakens, the whole body changes. And the eyes are just the entrance. But the most impactful part isn't what you see in your own eyes. It's what you start seeing in others' eyes. This is where many people begin to question their relationships, their truths, even their own identity. Because when the soul truly looks, it starts asking, "Who am I now?" There comes a point in the spiritual journey where everything seems to fall apart. What once made sense, suddenly no longer does. It's not depression, nor a crisis of identity in the usual sense, it's the collapse of the character. That self you've defended for years, with its certainties, titles, stories, and traumas, starts to dissolve. And yes, it hurts. It's like losing your own skin without knowing what lies beneath. But this pain is not punishment, it's evolution. It's the old self breaking down to make room for the new. And the new doesn't have a name yet. Questions begin to arise like an inner earthquake. If I'm not that anymore, who am I now? It's as if all the labels you used to define yourself have been ripped off. Profession? Doesn't matter as much. Social labels? They lose their weight. Relationships? Many don't survive. It's terrifying, yet liberating. Because the ego lives for control, while the higher self lives for flow. And when that flow comes rushing in, there's not much left of what used to be. But what remains is real. I remember the first time I experienced this collapse. It was like watching my own life from the outside. Everything that once made me proud, my degrees, my status, even my accomplishments, seemed hollow. A stage. And I, exhausted from playing a part. It was in this emptiness that I found my divine spark. Not as a concept, but as a presence. A serene intelligence that doesn't need to prove anything. It simply is. And this being doesn't rush. It waits for you to be ready to strip everything away. And look, it's not a linear process. Some days, you feel like you're on top of the mountain. And the next day, you feel like you've fallen into an abyss. But this, too, is part of the plan. It's like uninstalling an old software. It takes time, causes glitches, freezes. But when the system restarts, it's on a whole new level of consciousness. And then, manifestations change. Prosperity is no longer just about money. It's about peace. Alignment. The freedom to be who you truly are, without needing anyone's permission. Now that is abundance. During this transition, it's common not to recognize yourself. You look in the mirror and think, who is this person? What do I really like? What am I running from? And guess what? These questions aren't here to torment you, they're here to wake you up. Neville Goddard spoke a lot about this, the idea of dying to one identity and being reborn into another. That's what this is about. Dying while alive, symbolically, in order to be reborn closer to the soul. Closer to the truth. Closer to home. Of course, the ego will resist. It will try to pull you back into what's familiar. It will use fear, guilt, even shame. But if you breathe deep and keep going, something inside you will begin to expand. Like a light at the end of a tunnel that, in truth, has always been on. You just had to walk through the darkness of doubt. This moment of dissolution, however chaotic it may seem, is a privilege. Few have the courage to go all the way. But those who do, they don't come back the same. They come back bigger. Whole. And when you begin to recognize this new version of yourself, everything changes. The words, the silences, the choices. But perhaps the most remarkable shift isn't the inner change, it's the sensitivity to the world around you. The emotions that once passed you by now pierce you. And you start to realize that you're feeling things you never knew existed. You see, when you awaken, your heart opens in ways you can't control. The walls you built to protect yourself, they crumble. And what you're left with is an intense clarity, a new way of seeing not just the world, but yourself. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to glow from within, while others appear stuck, restless, even desperate for something they can't quite name? It's because they haven't yet embraced their true self. They're still trying to hold on to an old version of themselves. Still resisting the flow of their higher consciousness. But when you stop fighting, when you allow yourself to expand, your life shifts in ways you never imagined. You become a magnet for the right people, the right opportunities, the right experiences. And the best part? It's all happening within you. So, are you ready to step into this new life? To let go of the old version of you and embrace the awakening that's already begun? It's not going to be easy. There will be days when you feel like you've lost everything. But the truth is, you've just made space for everything that truly matters. And when you look back, you'll see that all along, the changes were happening in the silence. They were happening inside you. And now, you're ready to shine. Suddenly, places that once felt normal start to feel heavy. People who used to be fun, now seem draining. Sounds, smells, words, everything begins to impact you differently. This isn't being overly sensitive, nor is it drama, it's your energetic sensitivity awakening. And when this happens, it's as if your body has gained a new antenna, one that picks up on what's beyond the obvious. It's a clear sign that your consciousness is expanding. And yes, it can feel uncomfortable at first. But it's a gift disguised as chaos. You walk into a room and feel a strange weight in your chest. No one said anything, but something's off. That's your subtle field picking up the frequency of the space. Often, before your mind understands, your body already knows. It's your higher self telling you, not here. Or this person isn't at peace. You begin to sense the intentions behind words, the energy behind a touch, the truth behind a smile. It's as if the invisible world starts shouting within you. But not everyone will understand that. I remember one day, walking into a cafe I'd always loved. Everything seemed the same, cozy decor, great music, that rich aroma of coffee. But something felt off. My stomach churned. Minutes later, I found out there had been an argument between the staff in the back. No one was fighting in front of me, but I felt it. People on a spiritual journey develop this kind of radar. And you can't ignore it anymore. Your body reacts. Your field vibrates. Your soul knows. This sensitivity also shows up in relationships. You start becoming more selective, but not out of arrogance. It's just that some conversations no longer feed you. Some encounters leave you more drained than before. And some connections that once seemed amazing, now feel shallow. This isn't isolation, this is evolution. And in this process, silence becomes a sacred choice. The external noise starts to irritate you, because your inner voice is growing louder. And listening to that voice is the beginning of spiritual prosperity. Sometimes, out of nowhere, you'll find yourself crying. You'll feel compassion for a stranger. You'll sense someone's pain just by the tone of their voice. You'll be moved by a sunset as if it's the first time you've ever seen one. And that's okay. This is the new normal. This is the beauty of reconnecting with your divine spark. You're starting to feel again. And in a world so numb, that's a superpower. Because to feel is to live with intensity. And to live with intensity is to manifest with depth. Sure, there are challenges. Energetic sensitivity demands self-care. It's not about shutting yourself off from the world, it's about choosing where to direct your energy more wisely. A good practice is to start each day by asking yourself, what nourishes me today? Where is it worth being? Who is it worth talking to? Meditation helps a lot. A good book, like The Power of Now or Neville Goddard's writings, works wonders. Or even a salt bath now and then. Simple, but effective. It's about clearing your field to keep your channel open. And as this sensitivity grows, something curious happens. You begin to move differently. You speak more slowly. You touch with more presence. And you realize that, even without saying a word, you're affecting the energy of the space around you. And here comes the next phase of this consciousness expansion, when the energy accelerates and you start to notice that things begin to manifest much faster than before. There comes a point in your spiritual journey when everything starts to happen too fast. Things you once only dreamed of start appearing. Coincidences become routine. Think it, manifest it. And it's not an exaggeration, it's energy in overdrive. When the frequency rises, the universe responds more quickly. It's like stepping off a freight train and onto a bullet train. The scenery flies by, and if you blink, you miss the next miracle. That's a clear sign that you're in full consciousness expansion. A lot of people get scared at this stage. Because yes, desires are being fulfilled, but with them comes the chaos of reorganization. It's like throwing all the pieces of a puzzle in the air and trusting they'll land in the right place. This is why trust in your higher self needs to be unshakable. You asked for change? It's here. But it comes breaking old patterns, cutting outdated ties, and pushing you forward even when you want to stay put. The acceleration of energy doesn't wait for you to be ready. It makes you ready. I've had moments where I wished for something, and literally the next day, it happened. Sometimes it was subtle, sometimes it felt magical. An unexpected email, an opportunity appearing out of nowhere, someone saying exactly what I needed to hear. And other times, it was a shock. A firing, a breakup, a crisis that made me rethink everything. And only later did I realize, that was the answer. It was prosperity disguised as chaos. Abundance that first cleanses, then fills. The secret at this stage isn't to control, it's to align. Thoughts, words, feelings. Everything vibrates. Everything creates. So, when your energy is speeding up, even a misplaced thought can tie you up in knots. That's why it's so important to be mindful of what you speak, what you desire, what you consume. The field is fertile, but it doesn't distinguish between good and bad. It just materializes. Neville Goddard always said, "You manifest what you are emotionally identified with." And here, that becomes viscerally real. And you know what's crazy? Life starts to feel like a game. You realize you're co-creating everything, all the time. That the external world is just a reflection of the internal one. The more you trust, the more things flow. And the best part, you begin to have fun with it. You play with the universe. You set intentions with ease. You let go of control. And you receive. That, in itself, is a form of evolution. A quantum leap. And all of this comes from the place where your divine spark decided to wake up and remember who it really is. But beware, just because things are manifesting faster doesn't mean the challenges disappear. On the contrary, they can intensify. But now, you don't handle them the same way. Now, you understand that every obstacle is an invitation. Every frustration is a message. And every delay, a protection. You start seeing with different eyes. Eyes that don't just see, but feel. And here's the point, if you've made it this far, your body's already sent you signals. But, have your eyes shifted too? Now that you understand the signs, the real question is, what are you going to do with all of this? Are you going to ignore your body, your soul, and the call of your higher self, or are you finally going to step into your spiritual journey with courage? Evolution begins the moment you stop denying and start integrating. Your body's been trying to talk to you for a long time, and maybe, until now, you haven't really listened. How many signs have you received that you didn't take seriously? How many times did you feel something was off, or right, and you didn't trust your intuition? This isn't nonsense. It's your divine spark trying to guide you toward a path of prosperity, abundance, and truth. And the best part, when you accept this path, everything starts to make sense. Even the pain. Even the losses. It all becomes part of a much bigger puzzle. So, now tell me, which of these signs have you already noticed in your body? Where are you in your consciousness expansion? Let me know in the comments. Yes, really, comment. Because when you share, you activate your field and inspire others who are going through the same transformations you are. Don't underestimate the power of your story. If this content resonated with you, sparked something inside, or gave you that internal click, you know what to do. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and join me on this journey. Because this is just the beginning. The true awakening is ongoing.